Right. Hey there, and welcome to our podcast. My name is Phoebe,
And I am Noha.
and
And we don't exactly have a name yet, so
we're kind of hoping that anyone listening, if anyone is listening, would help us pick out a name for our podcast. We're kind of in between two names.
yeah. And I guess they're both titles that describe our background and kind of what the feel of the podcast is going to be like.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. They're both to do with basically how we grew up. Do you want to should we announce
and
the names first, or go into our backgrounds? What
I'm
inspired the names?
maybe it would make more sense if people knew who we were or what our backgrounds is. And yeah.
Yeah. So
Do you want to start?
okay. We're both Egyptian. We both have Egyptian
Yes.
parents. We both grew up in Denmark and lived a majority of our life in Denmark.
Yeah. Some still do. Some.
Some still do, some don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, Noha still lives in Copenhagen in Denmark, and I live in Brussels in Belgium. So not too far away, still around the corner.
Yeah.
And
Ish. Yeah.
and yeah, well, I mean, we have a lot of similarities. We also both went to international school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're better
You,
integrated into the Danish society than I am.
sure. I mean, but I was gonna ask you actually, have you ever lived in Egypt?
I have never lived in Egypt. I have never lived in Egypt. I have had the desire, the curiosity to live in Egypt, but I've never lived there. But you've lived there
Lived there for 6 years.
6 years. What ages?
From when, from 9 years old, I was 9, my brother was 7, and when we came back, I was 15, he was 13. I have a younger brother. Yeah.
How was it living in Egypt for those years?
Oh my God. I mean, it was very like existential. Is that a word? Years.
Well, even if it's not, well, just roll with it.
Like you're just coming kind of out of your childhood. You're this queen or what they call them. I don't know. The pre-teen years. And then I just became a teenager and then your life is flipped upside down again. So it was like a weird period. But I mean, it took me about a year to adapt, like to fully like, okay, now I'm in Egypt. I accept it. I have my friends, stuff like that. But it was tough in the beginnings. But yeah, now I can write and read in Arabic and yeah.
Do you think you would ever want to go back there, or have you ever thought about going back there since moving away?
Not exactly. Uh, Also because after like becoming a mom, I have a daughter, she's 4. After becoming a mom, I'm like, do I want to put her through this? And I know, of course, it's evolved since, but still, like, I just, at that point, maybe I like Danish values better and the way they, take care of kids better. Maybe that's like a misconception I have of like how Egypt is, or I don't know. You're a teacher, you also do stuff in Egypt as well. Like, can you maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I've been teaching in international environments for 7 years. Um, and recently joined a project as like, just advising for educational stuff. A non-for-profit for children, for orphaned kids in Egypt. Um, and there's a lot of heart in that project, and it's really nice. But yeah, so I mean, I can't really speak much to life in Egypt. I've never lived in Egypt. I've only lived yeah, I mean, I've only lived in Europe, in different parts of Europe. Um, what were you saying about
But I was thinking more like from a teacher's perspective when it comes to education, like how it is in Egypt. Maybe
yeah,
you would know a little bit about that more than me at least, because I still have that, what's it called? Like, um,
bias? Or,
no thought, or like it's how it's always used to, like teachers know nothing about, pedagogik, Danish word, but I don't know how to say it in English, or if there's a word for it in
pedagogy?
English.
Oh,
Yeah,
in English sometimes. Pedagogy. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
from what I know about Egyptian education, of course, I can't speak, and I think it's also changing a bit, at least in the international realm. Um,
Mm,
but from what I understand about it is that it is quite traditional, whereas Danish educational system is a lot more open-ended in a way. There's a lot of agency for students to decide their path, the
mm,
projects they're involved in. They have more of a say in their learning process. And I find also that that's still a struggle, like in a lot of European cultures or countries where, yeah, like the Scandinavian system is quite exceptional in many ways.
mm.
In many ways, the Scandinavian systems for many things are quite exceptional in many ways, and education being one of them. Even in Europe, I see that like there's still some, it's not just preference, but like attachment to some traditional methods that jobs that exist now, but not necessarily jobs that will exist in the future. And I see that kind
Mm,
of across the board, not just in places like Egypt, but yeah, you
mm.
associate that more with places like Egypt.
If I would ever move back to Egypt. So, yeah, I mean, the short answer is not now, or I don't have it in the plans for my future, or near future at least. Um,
But I think life in Egypt is also changing. I mean, what years were you living in Egypt?
oh boy, 1997. We're before the 2000s now. From 1997 till 2003.
I mean, 1997 for us is not like that far away. Yeah,
No, it doesn't feel like it.
no,
The 90s for me is still like 10 years ago.
100%. 100%. 10 years ago, we were still listening to like Spice Girls. That's how I
Exactly.
remember it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, back to our childhood and how we grew up and stuff. So yeah, you have to like there's definitely some clear differences or contrasts, I like to call them, between living in Egypt and living in Denmark. And you've got much
Yeah.
experience both. So the values that you've been
Mm.
talking about, um, that you appreciate in Denmark that you didn't find so much in Egypt. Can you speak like what kind of values are you referring to there?
I I think I but it's also like a balance. I like to incorporate both also because there are some things that I do appreciate about Egypt and Egyptian culture and traditions and stuff, but more like when we talk about how kids are brought up, like I like how they get independent very quickly and individualistic, and they get to choose their own, like you said, like what do you want to work on, even like at kindergarten age. Like my daughter's 4, she's in daycare, kindergarten, we call it børnehaven in Denmark. And even then they're like, do you want to paint, do you want to read a book, do you want to go out and play ball, like stay active? So they still learn something with the activities, but they get to choose what they want. I don't know if it's necessarily like that in Egypt. I haven't tried like that little, so I was in the 3rd grade when we moved. But it's the way kids are brought up in general that I really like compared to Egypt. Yeah.
And I think, like you were saying as well, Denmark is very family oriented, very kid oriented. And you can even see that just walking around in Copenhagen, like the types of playgrounds that they have. And luckily
Mm.
luckily in Brussels, the playgrounds are kind of are the same, but I've also seen some just like really uninspired playgrounds in the world where I'm like, yeah, that does not look like a very engaging playground. But in Denmark, you walk around and you see families everywhere. Everything is kind of centered around kids, family, and activity.
More or less. Yes, I agree. And I maybe you've noticed because you're a teacher and it's from a teacher's point of view. I only noticed after I had my daughter.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not every adult is going around observing or like taking notes on playgrounds.
And when I was pregnant, the only thing I could see was like trams. Uh, so I was like, they're
Yeah.
everywhere, but I never noticed it before.
Yeah. I think that's like one thing that I
Yeah,
mean, we have the cultural perspectives that we can like talk about on the show, but we can also talk about kids from a teacher perspective and a mom perspective, which I don't think we really hear of the
yeah.
parents and the teachers coming together. And I,
No,
I
exactly.
sometimes I also,
I thought, yeah.
I was just gonna say, sometimes I also
No, go
feel
ahead.
like there's a bit of a narrative-ish, if you can really call it that parents are and teachers kind of butt heads, which
Yeah.
honestly, like from my experience, 90%, and I always say this and I will continue to say this, 90% of parents are fantastic and very collaborative
Mm.
and I enjoy them to some degree, sometimes to a big degree. There's some parents that I also miss, but it's really only like it's the
Fair enough.
10% that, that the 10% that's the loudest that I think kind of hijack that narrative. And even that 10%, if you just, if you just, because sometimes they just want to be heard, you know? So if we just
Mm.
approach them in a certain way, it's not that bad. What do you think?
You know, when you become a parent, you don't really get the tools you have to learn as you learn to become a parent as you have this child. And, when you're a teacher or pedagogue, you already have like tools going into the
Mhm.
job. So, you know, I don't, of course, in some situations, I kind of analyze what she's going through or trying to understand what it is she's trying to, like, actually, today before it was bedtime, she was playing, and then we said, okay, now it's bedtime. And she was really upset about that, and she was frustrated, like, and I don't want to, blah, blah, and I'm mad at you. And then I was like, okay, she's probably yeah, we are the reason that she's going to bed because we tell her to do so. But she's mad at the fact that she can't play anymore. So I'm trying to put myself in that position. Oh, this is so frustrating. I can't do this even though I really want to. Instead of being like, you're a brat or stop, whatever. And, my husband had to also, we had to kind of feed off each other's energy to try to stay calm. You know what I mean? Like he would talk calm and I would try to talk calm because, not to escalate the situation. But yeah, trying to approach them in a certain way, like you said. So that's at least my perspective as a parent. How, because you're learning as you go. It's there's this I don't know if it's like an international saying, but in Denmark you say like the train is going as you put the tracks.
Oh,
So you're like that's a saying in Danish. I guess it's just Danish then.
yeah. No, yeah, that's true. Like, as I mean, it's still a very different experience that we have towards the kids. Because, like you're saying, you guys kind of have to learn your child as you go along. Whereas, like with teachers, we start off by learning, or like we have some theoretical learning. That's if you take a teaching course. Not everyone does. Um, but you have some theoretical learning mixed with some practical learning, like through an internship and stuff like that. Um, but I'll also say like some of this, like some of the theoretical learnings don't prepare you for everything either. You,
Mm, that makes
you still
sense.
have to know the kids and adapt, and with screens and technology and social media and brain rot. I'm so tired of hearing about brain rot. Goodness,
Mm,
like with that those stuff, you also get different kids. Every generation is different in its own way. But what I was gonna say as well is that like my perspective as a teacher, I mean, I have love for my students individually, like I love them individually, but my uh, priority is
mm,
them as a class. Like we're so that pretty much like sums up who we are, our background at least, that we get to know us a little bit more throughout the different episodes, the upcoming episodes. But that tells you a bit about our name choices for the podcast. Would you like to?
yeah. So there are two
Mhm.
candidates. Um, Option one is Hygge and Shay, or Shay and Hygge. However, we agree on if we choose that name. The other title is Falafel and Frikadelle.
And you can see why it's a
So
difficult choice.
the so to those who are neither Danish nor Arabic in any way, the first title, Hygge and Shay, they're two different things, but you can put them together and it's a good combination, over a talk like this one. But hygge is a Danish concept, or I don't know. They kind of if it's not Danish, they hijacked it from somewhere, but it's become Danish now. Or is it Scandinavian? Like, is it
I also
Scandinavian?
heard that the Germans have something similar, or the Dutch. No, it's
Mm.
Dutch. Sorry, not the Germans. That the Dutch have something similar. Gezintik, I think, or something. It's something like that. Sounds
Oh,
super hooey,
okay.
by the way. Gezintik.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
aggressive.
exactly.
No, but hygge, Danish Nordic concept that roughly translates to cozy in English, or coziness, or yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's like a literal translation, but it's like
I think of like
you sit in front of the fireplace with someone, or cuddle up, or drink a cup of hot cocoa on a rainy day. That's hygge.
exactly.
But yeah, sorry, you were gonna
No, I
say.
was gonna say that like I think of like candles being lit and you're under a blanket, and that's hygge. Like,
Yes,
and then any add-ons is also just more hygge. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. It can also be like a picnic in the park, or just hygge. Yeah, it's nice. It gives you a nice feeling inside. Then it's hygge.
Yeah, it's like a slow paced kind of vibe. It's just
Yeah,
here and now.
exactly.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
present moment.
Mhm.
And combine that with Shay, I think a lot of people would know what Shay is, but it means tea in Arabic. And Egyptians, if there's something Egyptians really enjoy to drink, it is tea.
Lipton.
And spill it.
And
And spill
spit at the
it.
same time. Yeah, word.
Lipton.
Gotta be the
That
Lipton black
is,
tea
oh,
and half a liter sugar.
oh my God. And if it's for breakfast, because a lot of Egyptians, instead of coffee, it's tea, it's with milk.
Yeah. Oh shit. I'll drink it with milk for sure.
I was a couple months years old when I learned that Italians don't drink coffee with milk afternoon. So after 12 o'clock, no milk in your coffee in Italy.
Listen, I love so many things about Italy, and I've tried to get on board with their the way they love coffee and the way they love pizza. Okay, their coffee and their pizza. Let me be specific and clear. But if I'm honest with myself, I disagree. I listen. I understand. Hats off for you. You are the originators of espresso and the square pizza and just the concept of pizza in general. But I will take my like five half a liter coffee. I might put some milk
So
in it,
true.
like, and I'm gonna have my brown pizza. And I'm sorry if that offends Italians. I love your country. There's many things I love about your country, but I just cannot get on board with an espresso shot that's like the size of like half my thumb. I need more. I'm sorry. I
Mm.
need more.
And they don't really like the concept of cafes just sitting there and drinking coffee is not really a thing. Like they have like the food truck-ish things where you drink your coffee at the stand and then you just leave. Go on your merry
It's
way.
all about walking. It's all about the promenade or the whatever the I can't remember the name of it in Italian. But it's all about just like walking for them, you know? Good on them, man. They stay healthy. They have the hills to keep them healthy. Good on them. But
Get them
get
steps
them
in.
steps
Yeah.
in. But while you're getting those steps, let me have my coffee. All of it. As much of it as possible.
But we but we Egyptians would drink tea.
That's true.
Well,
Egyptians
that's
drink tea. That's where, but
actually
I'll
I
say
don't
Egyptians, as famous as they are for tea, Danes just as famous for coffee because
very
how
true.
many
Black
black
coffee.
coffee?
Black
That's
coffee.
where
No
that's where
sugar.
I'm with them. I'm with them.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
so what I
No.
my coffee love, my coffee attitude definitely comes more from the Danish side and just maybe watching other
Mm,
Gilmore Girls and aspiring to be Lorelai Gilmore. I think it's like those two things together. If I'm reading.
fair enough.
But also, how many coffee breaks in a day do Danes take? Like if they're working in the office, how many coffees in a day? They do
I
not have a
mean,
break.
at my workplace, I don't necessarily want to disclose where it is, but uh I would say it depends on the person, but okay, on average, just sitting down talking to your coworkers kind of break, or do you just mean go out, get a cup and back to your desk?
Either, either. I think Danes are notorious.
Okay, so sitting down and talking with your colleagues kind of thing, maybe once or twice a day. But going out like back and forth to the coffee machine, it's a lot. I do it a lot. A lot, a lot.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. As much as Egyptians love,
But I don't necessarily.
I'm gonna say, as much as Egyptians love tea, Danes love their coffee.
That's true. But for me, I don't even necessarily finish the whole cup because I need and I'm like, cold.
Yeah,
Go get a new one.
that's one reason for me as well that I don't finish the cup. Another reason I don't finish the cup is when my eye starts twitching, that I know I've had like too much coffee, that I need to stop. I'm like, okay.
Girl, I've tried it as well with the twitching, but they can also be combined with stress. Let's not talk
Yep.
about that right now. That's a whole other can of worms.
Let's just wave it on the coffee for now.
Yeah. But Hygge and Shay,
Vegan.
I actually we've talked about that title for a while before, putting falafel and frikadelle on as well.
That's true. That was the first one where we were both like, "Oh, yeah, that's a good
Danish, Egyptian, like things that are ingrained in those two
one."
cultures.
True. Now, that leads us to the next one. Falafel and frikadelle, frikadelle and falafel.
Mm,
Again, clear connection to our backgrounds, and there's a theme, right? I don't think both of us have such a strong tie to frikadelle. And falafel,
no, not
no.
necessarily.
I mean, frikadelle, like, we're also different religions. So I'm Christian
And I'm
and Noha
Muslim,
is Muslim. So Noha can't eat pork because frikadelle are like usually pork meat,
predominantly pork.
predominantly
Yeah,
in
in
Denmark,
Denmark.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So Noha by faith can't eat pork. I can eat pork. There's some pork things I like. Frikadelle, Like I'm not like crazy about. I can go without.
Fair enough.
Uh, and falafel, I feel like can be controversial because because
Yes.
we grew up we grew up on, you know, mama and grandmama, Egyptian mama and Egyptian grandmama kind of falafel. And not everyone in the world has. And I've seen the kind of falafel that other people eat, and it's not falafel. And I tell them that's you're not eating falafel. You can think that's falafel. It might be made of chickpeas, but that ain't falafel. Like, and also, I don't think there's that much chickpeas in the Egyptian falafel. Or am I wrong? I think it's more like, right? It's more parsley.
There's actually zero chickpeas in
Thank
the
you.
Egyptian
That's what I'm
one.
thinking, right? So like, you're not eating falafel. You're not eating proper falafel. And then I introduced them to my mom's falafel. I'm like, here is a proper falafel. Have one. And then they're like, oh, game changer. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. So I feel like,
Another thing that,
no,
yeah,
no, no.
sorry.
I was gonna say,
I was gonna say another thing that really annoys me about the title is, for me, falafel. I don't know what, because you're from Alexandria, right? And I'm from Ismailia. In Ismailia, we don't say falafel, we actually say طعمية. So even that, I can't connect it with Egypt as much.
mm, I,
I don't know. What do you see falafel in Alexandria?
yeah, I, I mean, so like, okay, like I said, my family is Christian. So for us, like we're Coptic Orthodox specifically. And for us, when we fast, we're not allowed to eat anything that comes from an animal. So that includes like eggs, milk product, meats, all types of meat, and yeah, anything
So vegan,
vegan
basically.
basically. So an air Coptics fast a lot. We fast like 200 days of the year. There's like official 200 days of the year we should be fasting. I mean,
Mm,
um, so during that time, yeah, it's full on vegan, and there's a lot of falafel eating, a lot. Like
I
full
can
and
imagine.
falafel is like the main thing that Coptics
Yeah.
will eat when they're fasting. You can imagine there's a lot of gas being passed during that time.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
exactly. But yeah, no, so I see falafel a lot growing up, and I definitely associate it with Egypt. I associate it also a lot with fasting, with like Coptic fasting, to be fair. But I associate it a lot with Egypt. When I see my
Hmm.
mom make falafel, I'm like, oh, fasting? Are we fasting now? Or are you fasting? Like that's when I know
Is it time
exactly
again?
that's when I know that there's a fast happening, you know? When I see falafel being made. But I'm like, ah, okay, yeah, fasting time.
But I really miss like real Egyptian falafel. I haven't had it in a while.
Yeah.
In a while. Yeah.
Do you ever think I should learn to cook some of these Egyptian things that I love so much?
I mean, some of the things, some of the dishes just take so much time. So whenever my mom is like, I made this, okay, I'm coming
Yeah.
over. You know,
And there's always leftovers at mom's place. There's always enough to take home.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we also have like, speaking of in the falafel realm, like um midnight snack or breakfast. So falafel, and then there's fool, and then there is جبنة بالطماطم. Oh my God, which is like feta cheese with olive oil and tomatoes, sometimes cucumber, and with bread, like the flatbread, the pita bread. Oh my God,
Mm,
so
so
good.
good. Especially like Egyptian pita bread or aish beledi, like that.
Like I told you the other day, I tried to explain Aish Baladi for my husband, because my husband is Danish, he's not Egyptian. So I'm trying to explain to him like that type of bread, and I just can't explain it because, first of all, I don't know how it's made. It just has this very unique taste.
Very like a smoky kind of taste, very smoky taste ish. I don't know if smoky is the right word, but smoky ish.
I actually agree with the smoky one.
And it's very
Yeah.
impressively thin. Like it's so thin that you think it's going to break,
It is.
but then it doesn't break. It like
When it's fresh, it doesn't break.
yeah.
That's true. It's very like rubber. No, but it's not like in a bad way. It's really weird to explain.
The elastic? No.
It's chewy, yeah, but in a good way. Like you, or maybe it's just because it's nostalgic for us. Like it's good, but it's really not. I don't know.
Maybe it's one of those things that like we've become so accustomed to that it's like this is the best thing ever. And when other people eat it, they're like, what is like well,
Like what the fuck
they need
are you
well,
talking about?
like when they first come to Denmark, it's like, what are you guys eating? And then after some
Licorice, what is
time,
this?
yeah,
Oh,
after some time they love it. There's also a lot of like Danish foods that are quite weird. Weird, I don't know about weird, but like you have to kind of get used to. Like I had to get used to eating hopal. Now I love it. Hopal is like rye bread. Uh,
yeah.
and let me just
But the really dark
thank
rye bread.
you with the really dark rye bread and with seeds in it. Like the ones without seeds, like the budget ones that you can get from like I can't remember like fruit. I don't know. Fruitex is still a thing, or is like 365 now.
You can, yeah.
Fruitex, yeah.
Yeah, but do you think?
But like the budget ones that you can get, where there's usually no
Mm,
seeds in them, and they're dark, they're still pretty good. They're passable. But the ones with the seeds in them, that's
yeah.
that's the real like that's the real Danish rye bread.
Mm,
You don't. It's not easy to
yeah.
find that in other places in the world. No, it's not.
No, it's
Nah.
not.
And
It's a very
it's a
special
very
thing.
special thing. In Brussels, if I want it, I have to go to a Scandinavian shop and get a loaf of opal, which I could. I just
But it's nice that you have that. Like you have the option still.
yeah. I'm not kidding you.
But it's probably hella expensive or
It's worth it. It's worth it. Sometimes it's worth it.
okay,
It's like
fair enough.
it's it's worth it. I They also have Kim's chips in the Scandinavian shop.
Ooh,
Yeah, that like I need to get more of that.
I understand that. I really like Kim's chips as well.
So
But
yes, go ahead. No,
mm,
you go ahead.
I was gonna go back to the titles and say, so I feel like you are gonna do that as well. We are just in sync, you know. Also, when ordering food, also put a pin in that theme because
Is this what
we get each
yes.
other. Yeah.
We are so on the same page when it comes to ordering. I love that. And sometimes it's like we're
Oh,
not even
me
like
too.
speaking words. It's like, are you gonna? I'm gonna. Yep,
Yep,
I know what you're doing.
up top.
I know what's up. Yeah,
But for the titles, I would say, I don't know, are we like, don't we agree that falafel and frikadelle maybe not that much for this one at least?
it seems like we're not feeling it as much. The only pro it
Hmm.
has, from my perspective, is that it is in the category of food. And as you just mentioned, there is something special about food to a lot of people, but also to us.
Yeah.
But I do
Yes.
think Rika and Shay kind of captures more with like what it is we're really trying to do here.
I I agree. Yes, 100%. But do you then want to say Hygge and Shay or Shay and Hygge? What what rings best?
So, did you
What
hear that last episode
works?
about Rika and Shay? Both are good. I feel like in the sentence Shay and Rika sounded better.
Shay and Hygge. Like Netflix and chill.
Extension. Yeah,
It's kind of
it
up
is.
there, right?
It's the order.
Hygge and Shay. Shay and
Shay and
Hygge.
Rika.
Yeah.
Get comfy and chill. Yeah, Shay and Hygge.
Yeah,
Netflix and chill. But, our own original twist on it.
exactly.
All right. Shall we dig into the questions that we've prepared? So,
I've actually been really looking forward to this
okay,
part.
nice. So we've prepared some questions for each other. Shall I
Yes.
go first? Okay. First one. We didn't talk about this yet, but I think it's something nice to mention and to know about you. What made you want to become an engineer?
So yes, I'm an engineer. Just my background, I took I have a bachelor in mechanical engineering, and then I took a master's in material science, or more specifically, materials and manufacturing engineering. And I now work with product quality for a big Danish company. Still don't want to say what it is, but it has nothing to do with my education. I actually originally didn't want to become necessarily an engineer. I still wanted to stay within STEM, but I didn't want to become an engineer initially. I wanted to do something with biotechnology, like biology and, whatever in that, not necessarily a biologist, but something like within the medical field, biology. Like, I really loved biology in high school, but I had this really annoying biology teacher, and she kind of ruined it for me. In hindsight, I should have maybe still done what I wanted, um, and not let her ruin it for me, but I was just so affected by it. Like, she was just really not like, she wasn't a nice person. I didn't like her. She wasn't treating a lot of us really nicely, and I was just like, F this. I was like sitting there filling out the application after high school for like university, and I was like, what do I want to do? If it's not like biotechnology, what do I want to do? And then I just remember that my dad really, really liked mechanical. Like, my dad was also a mechanical engineer. My dad is not here anymore. He died 5 years ago. But so he was very passionate about his job, and he was really happy talking about it. And he would actually take me and my brother with him to work sometimes, and I saw like the environment, his colleagues, like the dynamic, and he loved to travel. He traveled a lot. I also travel a lot with my work, and I think my dad kind of inspired me that way as well. But so I was like, mechanical engineering, that actually does sound interesting. So that's actually how it came along. It was like, it felt like a last minute thing. I'm filling out the application for universities. What should I do? Kind of thing. But I'm happy I stuck with it because I actually really, really do like it. And it led me to material science, which is really like, I'm gonna sound really nerdy, but that's really where my passion is. Like, I really love materials and metals. So nerdy is in right now. Can we say that in 2025?
They probably use a different word other than nerdy now. It's not as not something I
Probably.
love.
Knowledgeable, educated.
Oh no, I mean like something that doesn't make sense. Like,
Okay, fair enough.
yeah.
Sigma.
This
Ah,
isn't
this
your thing. Six
generation, man.
seven. 6'7".
Put a pin in it.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you for your answer. I think that's a very
You're welcome. It was a really good question. Also made me, that came in because, like, when am I gonna say that I'm an engineer? But there you go. So my question to you is, have you always wanted to work with what you do today? How has your career goals/wishes evolved? So maybe kind of the same as like what I just
yeah.
described.
Okay. So for me, I'm a teacher and I grew up with both my parents being teachers. And yeah, I can see both of them in me as teachers actually. It's kind of funny. But for the longest time I did not want to be a teacher at all. I wanted to do something different. I was, going through like the resistance phase that children go through with their parents. So I was just like, no, I don't want to. They're teachers. I don't want to be a teacher. I want to, be something whatever, completely different. I want to be whatever. So the reason why I'm not finishing that sentence is because also the next one of the things that I also want to say is that I'm the kind of person that if you had asked me at 7 years old what I was going to be, I would have been like, I'm going to be a dancer. And then the next year, it's like, I'm going to be the next Mariah Carey. Like, I lived in fantasy world so much. Like, I didn't really see myself really becoming a profession, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
I think once I became more intellectual as part of the schooling system. Wanted to be a psychologist. Um, and ironically, I was not a very good student, and I say ironically because now I'm a teacher, and like, honestly, I think a lot of teachers are not good students. A lot of people that give seminars and trainings will say that teachers are the worst audience, and it's so true. We do not like, we spend
Oh my
lives
God.
being like, "Sit down, shut up, do not interrupt, I am speaking," and then the second, like, roles are reversed, teachers do not shut the fuck up, they do not sit still, they are constantly interrupting, they wanna make jokes, like, they do all the
I love it.
things our students do to us. Right, so, like, definitely not a good student, when I was a student, so that means that, like, I got into the universities that I wanted. I did sign up for psychology, to go study in the UK, and I got into the universities that I wanted, but I ended up not going for a number of reasons, mainly because, again, education in Denmark is for free, so why am I going to the UK to pay for it and be in debt and stuff like that? So ended up taking a gap year, and yeah, who knows what I wanted to be during that gap year. Probably also changed my mind like 50 times. And then I ended up getting into university. And in Denmark, we have a university called RUC. Yes, that's very Roskilde University. The way they do things, which is for my teachers out there, the way they do things is proper project-based learning. So for the first 2 years, you kind of learn everything, all the disciplinaries within a topic. In my case, it was social sciences. They also have a humanities department. They also had a natural science department. So you learn all the different disciplinaries within that field. And then in the third year, you got to specialize in the disciplinary that you wanted to do. And then all the disciplinaries kind of became interdisciplinary, meaning that like you worked on a project, and I think they do this in a lot of places in Denmark. You worked on a project for a whole semester, um, that was interdiscipline, that included all the different disciplines that you had studied that semester, and then you got to specialize in your third year. So I went into social studies with the intention of doing something like anthropology, sociology, whatever. We also had economics, political science, different things, and marketing and stuff. And but for some reason, I cannot really remember right now. I think I think it was actually a very childish reason. Like, most of my friends are specializing in this, so I'll specialize in too. And I ended up specializing in business administration, and then that led me to doing a master's in service management. So I worked I worked as a sales rep for different brands for a couple of years in Denmark and in England. And then I was like, yeah, the last experience was in the pharmaceutical industry. And that's where things started to become a little bit more questionable in terms of what I was also still very naive at that time. So the whole thing about making money off of people getting sick, like, didn't sit well with me. I will say though, I do believe that there are pharmaceutical companies that do really help people, and there's some that profit off people getting sick. Um, and I think
Hmm.
that's well known now. I don't think that's like a crazy conspiracy.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
quite obvious,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, well, what should I do now? I don't really think I should, because this is another thing about me. When I want to change something, I change drastically. It's not like, oh, okay, I'm with them in the business field now. Maybe sales rep is not my thing. Not like, let's go to marketing or HR something. Let's just change course completely. So I was like, okay, what do I like doing? I was also trying to, follow my passion, follow who I am. What do I like doing? I like working with kids. I gel well. Then I got into education, got my teaching certificate, and yeah, have been working as a primary teacher and a language teacher. Yeah, for 7 years now. So to answer your question, no, it's not always what I've wanted to do. Uh, I've wanted to do many things. I still want to do many things. I still want to be many things. It doesn't stop. Like,
Same. Yeah.
I still like every day. I'm like, I could do this. I could do that. Why didn't I start a YouTube channel? Why didn't I do like So yeah, who knows what I'm going to be doing next year or in 10 years? But I follow whatever path is in front of me. And one thing about me is, at least I'm thankful that things tend to work out in one capacity or another.
Yeah. Very true. And yeah, it's also really weird to think about like how our choices brought us here, and if you just had made like a slightly different choice in the past, how your life would have changed completely from now.
It also, like, if I hadn't gone to UK when I was supposed to, or like, I followed that plan, you and I wouldn't have been close friends, like the close friends that we are now, or like maybe wouldn't even have met. Because
That's
even though we
true.
both grew up in Denmark and our parents are Egyptian, we didn't really meet until we were like 19. Mm. Mm.
I'm trying to remember how old I was.
Yeah.
I think it was around 2011, 2012, around that area. Does that make sense?
2011 makes sense.
Mm,
2011 definitely makes sense.
then I was in my early 20s.
2011, I was, yeah, 20. I just hit, I was 19, 20.
We've been through a lot, girl.
Hit on that as well. Get back to that one.
Yep.
All right.
How we met. It's a good one.
My next question to you is, what's been the
I was actually thinking, sorry, I was actually thinking maybe can we save that for another episode because we're already up at an hour.
50 minutes? Oh, wow. I thought we were still in the 40. Cool.
I don't know, like I think maybe we can also cut this out, but like try to wrap up for today and then
Continue.
yeah.
Cool.
Is that okay
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you?
That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. What was the last thing we were saying? Uh,
So we were like closing on the
yeah.
questions. The last question,
Oh, yeah, we haven't. Yeah, we'll put a pin on
which
that. That's
was
what we were saying. Yeah. Okay. We'll put a
yeah,
pin on that. Yeah, we can continue to talk about that in one of the next episodes about
yeah.
how we met and how we came to be. So
Um,
yeah, so that was
I think I think that was a pretty good first
I
start,
think so
I
too.
would
I
say.
think so too. I think yeah, I think we did pretty well. There's yeah, that's yeah, I hope that if people were listening that they enjoyed it as well and that, I
We get to do this
yeah,
more.
exactly, that we're encouraged to do this more because nice.
Yes, it was. So I guess we have a name now for our podcast.
Hygge? No.
Hygge and
Shay and
Shay.
Hygge.
No, Shay and
Shay and
Hygge.
Hygge.
At least we agree.
So meet us next time on Shay and Hygge with some Shay for some Hygge.
Yes, or both. Yeah.
Signing off.
Yes. See you
See you
next
next
time.
time.